I'm a blind artist and I'm at my art exhibition titled Can You See Me Now? Can You See Me Now is an art exhibition all about spreading disability awareness and sharing my experience of how I navigate the world as a blind person. So when we come to the exhibition, the first thing that you encounter are 3 rounded tiles, and they have different words and statements that I want people to keep in mind when navigating through and exploring my exhibition. One tile says understand, one says ask, don't assume, and one says I'm still human, right? I really want people to keep these in mind when going through the exhibition. These are words that often float around in my head because I want people to be understanding. I want people to ask and not assume. The amount of times people have made assumptions and they're very wrong because of stereotypes. And I also want people to still recognise that I'm still human. Just because I've got a disability doesn't mean I shouldn't be treated as a human or a person. A lot of the times people can be really condescending, or they don't want to understand or listen to me. So these are, again, 3 important statements that I want people to keep in mind when they go through the exhibition. So then the next thing you're met with is a tactile sign that says, "Can you see me now?" There's also braille underneath and an audio button. So this audio button introduces people to the exhibition, talks about accessibility, which I'll put in another video, and it's really good for when I'm not around explaining what the exhibition is. People can just press the button, give it a listen, know what the exhibition is about, and then carry on. Just to play a sample of the audio buttons for you guys. So there's a braille label over the top which says "Welcome button, press me." So I'm just going to give it a press.
Welcome to Can You See Me Now, an art exhibition by blind artist Rikea Arson. That's me, by the way. It's so lovely to have you here, so thank you so much for coming. The exhibition is all about breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, and trying to demonstrate how I navigate the world as a blind person. The title, Can You See Me Now, refers to how I feel invisible in a sighted world, and I really want this exhibition to be a statement saying, hey, I'm still here, and so is a whole visually impaired community. Feel free to touch everything, just please be respectful. There are Navilens QR codes located by each of the artworks, containing all of the text and a written description of what the artwork is. Please feel free to scan to get an electronic version so you're able to read it with a screen reader or zoom in. If that doesn't work for you, all of the descriptions are written on the little bio next to the artwork, so you can use apps like Seeing AI and Be My Eye to navigate around the exhibition as well. Each artwork is accompanied by something tactile that can be touched for more of a sensory accessible experience. I really hope you enjoy the exhibition, and thank you so much for coming.
There's also a little bio about me, talking about who I am, saying that I'm a disability advocate, I'm a university student studying fine art, my artwork is about disability awareness and sharing my experience of being a blind person. I'm also a freelance facilitator. I run art workshops for blind and visually impaired people to engage the community a little bit more, because again I really want to spread more awareness, and I don't want people to feel like there's a big barrier in accessing art just because of their disability, because that shouldn't be the case at all. There are also some Navilens QR codes which go over the text and also to my social media as well. This is the first piece of art that's encountered after the exhibition welcome. It's called My Cane, My Story, and I want to bring more awareness to mobility aids and especially canes. So this is a tactile illustration of me holding my cane. Each feature of the actual illustration has a distinctive texture. You can also feel a 3D cane with a round tip on the end, and again everything in this exhibition can be touched for a more sensory and accessible experience. It's also accompanied by a storybook, and this storybook is actually from my cane's perspective. It goes over how I didn't want to use a cane, how I felt embarrassed to use one, and how it's kind of my story and how I've started to feel more confident in using a mobility aid and a cane when growing up. I don't want people to feel embarrassed to use their mobility aid, because you shouldn't. If you need a mobility aid, you need a mobility aid. I felt quite embarrassed to use one and quite ashamed, and I didn't want to feel othered or like people were staring at me. And those are all feelings that I write about in this storybook. And then I talk about how I started to feel more confident, and how my cane, because it's from my cane's perspective, how my cane wanted to support me and help me navigate navigate the world. So this is to help people understand what a mobility aid is, specifically a long white cane, and how it can be used. The next is a piece titled Bertie the Guide Dog, and similar to my previous piece about my cane, this is a tactile illustration about my guide dog Bertie. Everything can be touched. Bertie's so soft and fluffy, and everything has a distinctive texture to it, which I really like. It's also accompanied by this storybook called Bertie the Guide Dog. It's from Bertie's perspective. It goes over what a guide dog is, why not to distract a guide dog, and other things like mine and his relationship. A lot of people think guide dogs do all the work, but no, it's actually a partnership. We look after each other, and I really want more awareness to be brought around guide dogs. This next piece is titled My Walk, My Cane. It's a really giant monoprint of me walking with my cane. So it's a physical print, so everything is life-size. You can see my shoe prints in the print and the sweeping arcs of my cane. It's a visual demonstration on how a cane is sometimes used and how I sweep it in front of my feet to navigate the world, so it clears a path and tells me if everything's okay. Accompanied with the giant monoprint are two different tactile versions. One is 3D printed, so you get all of the different details from underneath the shoes, so you can feel the pattern, you can also feel the cane marks. Accompanied with that, I also have a more simplified fabric version. So you can feel the shoe prints, and they feel kind of rubbery and leathery, and then you have really thick black string to identify where the cane marks are. I really like both for different reasons. I decided to put both up just because some people might prefer the 3D print version and some people might prefer the fabric. I personally prefer the fabric just because you can feel the different textures and it's more high contrast, but what I really like about the 3D print is you can feel all the different details from under the shoes. This next piece is titled My Walk, My Bertie, and it's a giant monoprint of me walking with my guide dog. And what's really interesting is you can actually see his paw prints are really in line with my shoe prints, just showing how concentrated he is when he's working. And it's also to demonstrate how we need a really wide walkway when we're going. So wide pavements are really important. Again, spreading a little bit about disability awareness. There are also two tactile versions with this monoprint. Again, a 3D printed version where you can feel all of the textures and all of the details from under the shoes, and you can also feel the paw prints. And I also have a fabric version where you can feel the rubbery leather shoes and also the fluffy little felt paw prints. I have two different versions for two different reasons, because it might work for different people. Some people might prefer the 3D printed version that's more detailed, and some people might prefer the more simplistic version. Personally, for me, I prefer the simplistic version because it has different textures, so it's easier for me to identify. This is a piece titled A 10-Minute Journey, and it goes over a route that I do very regularly with my guide dog Bertie, and it's to demonstrate that, well, it's to break a stereotype that guide dogs know where they're going, and that he'll get me there. Well, when in actuality it's a partnership. I direct him where to go and he gets me there safely. We work off each other. He doesn't always know where he's going, and that's where I come in. It's often up to the guide dog owner to learn routes and memorise routes, so that's what I had to do. So for this 10-minute journey, I had to memorise all of the commands that I give Bertie to go over, and so I decided to write it down because I get really tired really easily some days, and I just wanted to demonstrate how travelling can have such a massive mental toll on me, just because there's so much to memorise, there's so much to listen to, and obviously I'm having to instruct my guide dog on where to go. It's not as easy as grabbing a handle and just going to where I need to go. So I break up the route for him. So some of the commands that you can see are forward, straight on, find the curb, find the step, to the door. It's very communicative. I tell him where to go and he gets me there safely. Next door to a 10-minute journey is also a braille version for people to touch and feel and read. I should also mention that a 10-minute journey spans from the ceiling to the floor. It's printed out on A4 pieces of paper. And it's to demonstrate, again, the massive mental toll it takes. I want people who are sighted to look physically up at the ceiling and just trail their eyes down to the floor, to be like, oh my gosh, that's such a huge mental toll. So the last thing on display is a ceramic sign that says, "You don't look blind." And this is bringing awareness to the stereotype of what blindness looks like. A lot of people think that blindness looks a particular way. So for example, they might think someone has cloudy looking eyes and someone may or may not. Or they might think, oh, blind people, they wear sunglasses. And some people may wear sunglasses, some people may not. Today I'm choosing to wear my sunglasses because my eyes are a bit more tired. It's just to demonstrate that blindness is such a massive spectrum and it doesn't look a certain way. That's just negative media portrayals and how that's inaccurate. So I just want people to keep that in mind, because a lot of the times I'm out with my guide dog Bertie and they think I'm training him rather than using him as a mobility aid. Or there have been so many other instances where, because I don't look blind, I might not get the support I need. So I just want people to think about this statement and have it in mind to try and challenge and break this stereotype. That was my art exhibition titled "Can You See Me Now?" Thank you so much for watching the video. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments below, and please like and subscribe.